to this year was 1,069, and this year, which would be the 3-year rolling average of 17, 18, and 19, is 1,059. So our rolling average is down 10. Right now we have 1,033. This 1,033 is actually a plugged-in number at the moment. Once DPI finalizes their third Friday count and open enrollment numbers, they will plug the number in there, but we believe that's as accurate as we can get on our own right now. That can change by a student or two depending on what other districts say. So we have the 1,033 is derived of the 1,065 on the head count plus the 111 open enrollment out minus the 113 open enrollment in, which is 1,063, and then we do prorate for just the partial FTEs, which takes 30 away, and that's how we get to the 1,033. One number that I don't have highlighted is a little bit below to the right. It's the 2019 TIF out, tax apportionment equalized valuation. That number that we have in there right now is the number that we used last year. The number I got emailed in the spring is about 596 million. We did have discussions with Joe today. We believe that could jump like $42 million.
And I did check the 2020, the TIF has been closed out because I checked the
Okay.
DOR 2020, so that 42. But we'll see what the DOR or the calculations by the state of that should be 42 plus or minus a little bit.
Okay, so the DPI will plug that number in there around October 15th. When I go into the cell, it actually says October 1st in there. I did email them today, and Joe can confirm. He also found out that it's going to be more like October 15th.
Correct.
We did realize that it's not actually going to change the tax money at all. It would change the mill rate. But as of today, on everything that's going in the paper, we're using that 595 million. We do not actually post a mill rate in the paper. It's just the tax levy amounts, which we'll get to. On the back page, that's the other part of the revenue limit worksheet. Item number 4, the transfer of service number, that is also a number we've manually put in there, but we have filed that with the state. That is transfer of service of students that have come into the district that we can basically bill out to other districts if they have higher needs. So that number was around $160,000. They take off the special aid portion that we would receive, and that's out to the $110,000. That should auto-fill at some point in the next week or two. Item 5, declining enrollment, that's 99,242. That is a automated calculation that is in the worksheet. Item 6, private school voucher aid deduction. We really have no idea what that is. That number is from Baird on their forecasting.
What was it last year?
I want to say it was 109,000. It was either 109 last year or 2 years ago, and last year it might have been around 130.
And so that possibly has an impact on our elementary enrollment too. More kids are taking advantage of the voucher opportunity. Who knows? The one part I want to mention is that when you are shrinking as a school district, if you're really doing it rapidly, like major changes, you also see additional funds in 7B, hold harmless. So in the past, we have seen that also built in, and that is gone. So actually, that's a good thing. You don't want to get declining enrollment and hold harmless. So it does start to see a leveling out is what a model like this starts to
That
predict.
should be a 33% deduction, depending on what
Phasing it out.
Yeah, phasing.
Typically, what you see is that they mirror each other.
Correct.
So a hold harmless dollar amount is very similar to the declining enrollment exemption. So now we're starting to see that whittle up.
Okay, the next one is that I highlighted was item 7, the 2019-2020 July 1 aid estimate. That is $6,795,724. That number is auto-filling in based on the worksheet calculations. That's the number we looked at when we dumped in a little bit more into the tax valuation, and it did not change. Below that, there's exempt computers and exempt personal property taxes. Those are also auto-filling in there, so we did not do anything there. I didn't actually highlight them. But then you get down to the bottom, and the item number 8, that's our Fund 10 tax levy. $3,932,086. Item 9 is the Fund 38 non-referendum debt levy of $93,897. Item 10 is the referendum approved debt of $1,635,066. We actually will pay, I want to say about 1.2 million during this fiscal year, but then there is another payment that is due next September, so we have to levy that money also, so we have it to pay the interest-only payment in the fall. And then below that, number 11, that is the Fund 80 tutoring tax levy. That's $35,674.
Question, for number 9, do you remember how many more years we have of that?
I don't.
Pretty close to the end.
Yeah, I think it's 2023. I have the debt.
23?
Oh, was that far out?
I thought we talked about this, that we were gonna levy a little more.
You can't, that is not, that's a set amount. We're working within our revenue limit. This is
Okay.
just deciding
That's right.
on how it's
We're
being
good.
distributed.
Never mind, we're good, I forgot about
Yeah.
that.
Now, you could do defeasance.
Correct.
That's another story, which strategically, we can start to look at that, depending on what's happening with the mill rate. You could levy more to go towards your referendum debt.
So item 12, you can see the levy rate is 99.56731. And then there are a couple pages after the revenue limit worksheet that don't pertain to this. It's just calculations that tell you if you levy to the max or not. And at this point, we have. I will say the reason we have such a late meeting to approve the budget is because if DPI does change the membership count by one up or one down or multiple ones, that actually gives you more levying authority if it changes your declining enrollment at all. So that's why we wait so long, so we make sure we don't under levy or over levy. So we'll keep monitoring that all the way up until the October 28th meeting. The next page is the equalized value. There's the 2018 values on there, the 2019 value, and like I said, that 596 million was a figure that I pulled in the spring. The new values aren't actually available yet. Once they get plugged into the DPI, into the revenue limit worksheet, I'll be able to pull details by municipality and out to
The city gets it a couple days.
No,
before
town
you-
threshold was reassessed this year. Does that first hit next year?
No, if it
No, that was
reassesses-
this year.
Yeah, this year.
Because they're both the same here.
Yeah,
I just remember
It's
my first
only
year
changed by
here,
$1 million on the last number I had, so I'll just have to grab
they
the.
reassessed Leroy.
Correct.
What happened? And some people's taxes had a big jump because their property values went up, but we didn't have any impact on that. People were coming saying, hey, why did you increase your taxes? Like, well, we can't
Well,
pass
that's
your
your
property
property
value.
value.
Your property values went up.
And Williamstown and Kikoski are actually both still listed as their own municipalities out there. So I'll continue to monitor if at one point those are grouped together. But then we break it out, so say City of Mayville has 52.17% of the total equalized value, so they would pick up 52.17% of the taxes. And then the boxes on the right-hand side, you can see the Fund 10 tax levy, the Fund 38, 39, and 80. At the very bottom in the black, you can see what the Fund 10 levy rate actually would be. So you can see the effect of doing a Fund 80 is 0.0599. The Fund 39 is 2.746. The Fund 39 is the referendum debt, and then 38 is the non-referendum debt. So that 9.5673 ties out to the revenue limit worksheet, and then I put a note on there that last year we were at 10.18. And then behind it is just the printout that I kind of got. This is something I received, like I said, in the spring with those equalized values. The next page, this is really a deeper summation of everything, the stuff that's really impacted. So today I went through, and this is going to compare this year's budget to what we actually spent last year. Not what we budgeted last year, but what we actually spent. So last year, we ended up with a surplus of $2,219. So all the columns, if I reference a number, those are on the far left. So the first line, that's $13,041,741. That was our actual 2018-19 revenue. We've added in the TID closeout to $445,000. And I put these in as equal $1,000. I was gonna mess around with small dollar amounts. Open enrollment increase, $100,000. General state aid increase, $442,000. Item 5 is insurance proceeds. We actually have a check. We usually don't budget for insurance proceeds, but we actually have a check that's already been deposited for $98,000 for the Parkview roof that was due to hail damage. That is actually washed out at the bottom. We actually added that expense in as well. We have a per pupil increase that results in $91,000 of additional revenue. The per pupil amount is $742 this year. Last year was $654. So we have $1,176,000 of new revenues in 2019-20. The decreased revenue items are items 8 through 13. We are currently at a Fund 10 tax levy decrease of $405,000. We have some grants that aren't going to be there this year, our Department of Justice grant and our Teach grants. We have reductions in grant revenue of $91,000. Those expenses also fell off on the bottom. Other is assets and miscellaneous sales. We never really budget for selling off assets. Last year we sold some tech equipment, which, because we were upgrading, those sales in theory won't be there this year. So we have $19,000 in sales that came off. Student fees and activity revenue, that would be admission to athletic events and stuff. We're looking at $14,000 less there. Really pointed out two effects. If you have more kids that are on free lunch, we waive fees if they fill out a fee waiver, so you're losing out on some of that revenue. And then we just have fewer kids that you're collecting fees on to begin with. Interest projection, we dropped that by $8,000, just looking at interest rates and cash on hand. And then grant aid, item 13, there's some just various small grants. We have $5,000 less forecast in there. We're gradually losing our Title I, Title II monies. Those numbers are just coming down across the board. Same thing in flow through when we get to the special ed side of things. So we have a decrease of revenues, $542,000. So that nets out to $634,000 of new revenue for the year. For the total in the budget right now of revenue is $13,675,741. Looking at the expense side, here's some of the bigger expenses. Last year, item 16, we had $13,039,521 of Fund 10 expenses. This year, we are adding, in the current budget, $221,000 of salaries. It's comprised of CPI raises that are in there, new hires, by that I mean new positions, or new employees that are replacing their predecessors at a higher salary. We have the roof at the high school in there. That was previously coded to the referendum. It has actually going to get moved to Fund 10. It was $205,000 that would get picked up by Fund 10. The increase of $173,000 is because we actually spent $30,000 last year on other high school projects. Open enrollment costs, we have $163,000 more in open enrollment costs this year in the budget. The benefits, $117,000 more. It's not the health insurance, that was basically a wash. We saved on premiums but gave the HSA, so it was a wash. We had dental increases, we have a WRS increase, and then we really have a lot of people that have taken the insurance at open enrollment. We had a couple employees leave that were on cash in lieu. They came in, took family health and family dental. That's roughly $20,000 compared to the $2,750 that you're paying for cash in lieu.
I just want one comment on the open enrollment. So for open enrollment in brings in an additional $100,000, and open enrollment out is an additional $163,000. One of the things on the ins, we went through our account. We had adjusted, I think it was 7 students. The families actually moved to the school district, so they're no longer open enrollment in. 7 times, we'll say 8,000 is $56,000, just like that. And the good news is they're residents. That's really what you're looking for stability in the budget. But that's all to make the change there.
And another thing on the open enrollment we talked earlier is that those numbers change daily because they're prorated. These are literally the totals that we have in there right out of the OPAL website, which is the open enrollment website. Those could change up and down on each side.
Yeah, like those that typically open road to virtual school, like the rate of success for those is not necessarily that great. We actually have students who open enroll to virtual school come back to us the following year. Sometimes they actually do it right during the school year, so that'd be an example. All right, sorry to interrupt.
No problem. Item 21, the board's referendum commitment, $100,000. So when the referendum was passed, it also was attached to a $100,000 commitment from the board from Fund 10. So that's actually in the budget this year. The Parkview roof, like I said, that was $98,000. It's offset by the insurance check that came in. Item 23, supplies. We have not budgeted an additional $80,000 in supplies. As I had mentioned, this is $80,000 more than we spent last year. So that means we underspent in some areas last year, $35,000 in textbooks. We are fully utilizing that this year with the math adoption, $8,400 in workbooks, and then $35,000 that was budgeted in supplies last year that didn't get used. That is classroom supplies, it's athletic supplies. It's possible that there's savings there, but we didn't change any supply dollar amounts. We didn't want to treat those accounts as a you use it or lose it thing. So those stayed in there. So that $80,000 is not new money, it's just unspent money that if you run under the assumption they would spend it all, that it would cost another $80,000. Item 24, the Fund 27 transfer, so there's $21,000 more that Fund 10 would pick up in special education. Item 25, other objects, is a bunch of smaller items that total $15,000. So we have total increases in expenses compared to last year's actual of $988,000. And then below there, lines 27 through 31 are decreased expenses. Item 27, 4K site payments. That is a payment that we make twice a year to 4K sites. I think it's $2,550 per kid, because we have one site that is no longer part of that. There's savings and expenses of $75,000, but at the same time, there's an equal offset at the top in salaries because we took those kids on, we had to hire another teacher and then an aide. So that's basically a wash.
So the $75,000 really is a part of the 221?
It's part of item 17, the
Right.
salaries, and item 20, the benefits.
So, because to us, we were really trying to be strategic and not increase costs. We were actually reducing staffing this last year. We laid off a teacher and made some other reductions. So to look at that, to me, it's kind of a head scratcher. So it's like, okay, well, some of that, at least a third of it, is the 4K program. And we knew that coming into it. The goal was to be a wash there. It was all just kind of hinging on if they took family insurance or not. So, and many of all of line 17, probably the biggest impact I would say would be is the insurance enrollment would be for that. Like from the discussions that Ryan and I had, it wasn't that we had someone leave the district and we filled it with that much more of an expensive position. It's just they left the district and who came in with family insurance. So budgeting, moving ahead, we're talking about just budgeting and planning for family insurance for anybody versus saying we'll probably have some cost savings in salary, or probably, there'll be a new hire, hopefully they'll be single. It's like, all right, no, we're just gonna have to go full throttle, everybody's family insurance, just make that assumption moving ahead, because that's what our trend is.
Item 28, the DOJ expenses. So like I said, we're losing out $60,000 of safety grant money. That's $60,000 that we're not spending. Capital objects, we have $44,000 less in the budget there. Not smaller changes in purchase services, those are all kinds of different things. Cleaning services, if we have to hire somebody for a special project. Not coaches, but officials for athletic events are in there as well. And then insurance, our insurance is down $14,000 as well. That is workers' compensation. So we have total decreases of $213,000. Those two net out to a $775,000 total increase in expenses, and we took in $634,000 in additional revenues. So that's where we go from a $2,219 surplus in 18-19 to a deficit of $138,780 in this current budget. The backside, very similar report for special education. There aren't as many accounts or ongoings there. Items 2, 3, and 4, additional revenues. We have more state aid of $51,000. It's a combination of having more special ed costs in 2018-19, and they also increased the percentage of aid from 24.5% to 26%, and it's supposed to go up to 30% next year. So we would get 30 cents on the dollar of any aidable expense. Fund 10 transfer, like we said, Fund 10 will pick up $21,000 more of Fund 27 spending. And then grant funds, we have $11,000 more in grant funds that we'll receive this year. A lot of that is just utilizing our flow-through grant funds. We have some carryover there. After this year, that carryover will probably be gone. So we'll have to.
Sorry, I've been carrying along with this paper copy and writing notes, so I've been negligent in my duties of moving along with this presentation, so.
So as we lose flow through carryover funds and possibly the new funds, the thought is that the state aid increase would help offset some of that lost revenue.
That would be that 30%. That's the largest number that I've seen when they follow through with that in 10 years, as far as that categorical aid. So that's great. I believe that's going to happen.
Item 6, the Fund 10 tax levy increase. This is a decrease in funds. I actually think I titled that wrong. That's our SBS Medicaid revenue. I think we're actually going to look at it and possibly increase that. So we took $31,000 off of that. It's a hard thing to calculate because there's so many formulas and it's based on spending and the total pot of everybody. So we'll look at that number. We might increase that anywhere from $15,000 to $20,000 because we have spent more and you get more aid through Medicaid. So we'll look at that. But that's $52,000 total increase in revenues, and then below is some increases in Fund 27, $30,000 in additional salaries for raises, new hires, and any hires above their prior employee replacements. $17,000 increase in capital objects. That is the van that's in there, which is in at $21,000. And then we had $4,000 in reductions in other capital object accounts. And then the benefit increases and then a small supply increase. So the total of that is $55,000 in additional increases. And then there's small savings in insurance that's actually business insurance.
On the van, is there any chance we can take a look at, same thing I had the city do with these vehicles leased to own, where we're taking one payment this year, next year?
Actually, the county's looking in on more of that.
Yeah, so we did that, and then basically after you're done with your lease, you own the vehicle. It just helps us go ahead and push that out a little bit. Don't know if we can look at that in most places.
Okay, so versus paying for it outright?
Correct. So I'd rather see that spread out because
A lot of times there's
Okay, so now,
75%
got that? Right
interest
now,
rate on it.
we're using flow-through dollars, which is
I got
aid.
that.
So that's what it's coming out of specifically? So it's not coming out of Fund 10? Now, we do have a Fund 10 transfer,
Sure.
but if it wasn't for that, I would say, yeah, that makes total sense. Lease it, for sure. And then it went again.
Yeah, but if you're doing, I get it.
My computer just locked up again. It's having a moment. Yeah, I don't know.
No, I get what you're saying.
It's not my peak. So because of that, I think, like, you know what, if I was a board member, I would be okay with the purchase because I know it's coming out of flow through. But otherwise, that's a great idea.
But there is an expense to that.
Yeah, there is.
To the lease.
To lease.
Oh, yeah.
It'll cost
But
5 to 7%.
But you're spreading it out.
you're spreading it out, though. So, moving ahead, can you lease buses to own?
Yeah, you
We
can.
can contract
Yeah,
that out.
you really
That's
can.
definitely something to consider. That
Yeah, we
those
looked at that
buses
many
are-
times.
You say contract out?
It's,
We will, though. Seriously.
It's getting to the point where you're gonna be forced
I
to.
would rather see
Yeah.
it spread out over the years of the life cycle of that equipment.
No, oh, they have that option. The buses do that. But it is
I think I need a new computer. This is, that's another thing that we just discussed too, as far as like budget and impacts on future budgets. A lot of the computers that we have, most likely this one even is a hand-me-down from Marine Park Technical College, and they are no longer doing it.
Yeah.
So that's another budgetary impact